Hi, today I want to talk about anxiety, and I want to start with an analogy that I like to use to describe anxiety, and also what do we do now and how can art therapy help. So I like to think of anxiety as our very own bodyguard team, and their main job is to make sure that we are safe. So that looks like them surveilling around us all the time and taking notes on what's threatening and what is not threatening. So when they see threats, or sometimes even what it remotely resembles threat, they're like, okay, you know what, this is time to sound the alarm to let our human know that this is not safe and we need to get away from it. And that looks like, anxiety symptoms like increased heart rate, sweaty palms, overthinking, amongst others. And this is them thinking that they're doing a good job. They are doing a good job because they want to make sure that we're safe. But they're like, we much rather you do that, experience all that symptoms, than actually go near the threat. And as you can tell, it can get very tiring. And this system, it can go into autopilot after a while because they're like, oh, you know what? There's just so much to deal with. They can't deal with it. And we're just going to make sure our human is always anxious so that they won't do much, so they can only just stay within what's safe for them. Now, I wanted to share this analogy for you to understand what's the function of anxiety. The impact is definitely not very nice, but their intention is just to make sure that we're safe. And now it's up for us to decide, what can we do with this information? Now, the first thing that we can do, and I find this is where art therapy can come in nicely, is to use some art directive to help bring them back into the present moment and to connect them with safety. A lot of times when we're experiencing anxiety, our thoughts are in the past or in the present, either thinking about, okay, this is what I've done before and it didn't go very well, so I need to make sure that I don't do that again. And it can come off as very critical, just kind of beating down on yourself, because this is what you're not supposed to do. And in the future, you're not thinking about 10 steps ahead of what's happening right now, because if this happened, that can happen, and all of this just gets our brain into a big spiral. So within an art therapy session, this is where I like to start. We can do a different art exercise for us to bring us back into the present moment, back into our body, and back into safety. And I find this really to be the foundational work in terms of healing from anxiety. So then we can let anxiety know that, it is actually okay, this is how safety can feel like. And then we can give ourselves a little bit of space, to pause, to think, say, okay, is this safe for me? Now, secondly is to externalize anxiety. Sometimes it can just be a scribble, of a color that reminds you of anxiety. And it could be a big patch of something. But this act of externalizing helps us separate who we are in anxiety. And coming from a narrative perspective, externalization is separating our problem from who we are. Because if something keeps happening to us, it's very easy for us to start identifying that I am an anxious person. We take that on, as our narrative, as our identity. But when we draw it out, we're better separate it and see that, okay, this is anxiety and this is who I am. I find that this would be really, really important and crucial sometimes, for some clients, because this might be the first time, that you have actually considered, okay, this is me and that's anxiety. There's actually separation. And this will be a beautiful time, for us to connect with who are you, outside of anxiety. And the third part is to build a healthier relationship with it. This is kind of my favorite part, is to draw out your anxiety as a character. So then we can start relating to it. Anxiety is giving you all these symptoms because they want to tell you something. So by giving them a character, it personalizes them and also gives them a voice. It's like, okay, what do you need to tell me? And how can we work better moving forward? I think this of course will take practice, take, a few conversations, and constant practicing so that, you can actually have control over anxiety and not the other way around. Now, the last part is to use art, as a way to track and to check in with anxiety. You can draw out, some of your anxiety symptoms or how it feels like, when you're anxious. And as we collect them, we can look at, hey, this is how your anxiety has progressed, this is where it's at right now. And then we can look back and say, okay, that happened, so maybe that made it worse. Or because they know that happened, and actually it's like better these days. So we have a better understanding, of your anxiety and of yourself. And the main thing to take away from this, that it's not your fault that this is happening to you. It is just the way the system's set up. It is really annoying, but at the same time, a very essential system to have to make sure that we're safe. So now we can think about what we want to put in so that we can have it work with us towards our goals as opposed to against us and just take control over our lives. I hope that was helpful, and if you have any questions or comment, please let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And until next time. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to explore, please comment below or you can email us at info@fullcircleatc.com.